Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Nick Fuentes actually. First and foremost though, keep in mind, look down below if you're watching on YouTube and you'll find a pinned comment with links to 4 other video hosting sites that I use. I make 4 videos every day, but only 2 actually go on YouTube. Didn't make any yesterday because my voice had given out actually. Nick Fuentes, as far as I know, I could be wrong, maybe he has a secret torture dungeon or something, doesn't seem to be a particularly violent individual. It's funny because if you're like Antifa, you can get on a plane. Now, even if you're throwing explosives at the police, I think nobody gives a shit about it because nobody ever prosecutes them. Nick Fuentes, I guess, he has verboten political views, and therefore it's bad speak. See, he's got wrong speak, so he's not allowed to speak at all. Apparently, he was going to be going to some sort of a get-together, like a political thing, and figured out that he couldn't actually make it because, hey, I'm not allowed on the plane. The process by which this was imposed, I would think, had to be political in nature. Since he's obviously not engaged in terrorism, and I don't think he's suspected of building bombs or owning a machine gun illegally or something, the only thing I can think of is that this has to do with his political views. He's a dissident, he's a rabble-rouser, so he's not allowed to travel. Now, at what point are we, the people, going to get a little bit upset with this sort of thing happening? We've got tech firms randomly silencing people. Now we've got the government directly persecuting an individual ostensibly for his political beliefs. I can remember a time back in the good old days, showing my age here, when liberals had a huge stink over the fact that the government wanted to look through people's library records and monitor what they were reading. Liberals were the ones that were dead set against this, but now I see all the sellout libs, especially the millennial liberals, love this sort of thing. They'll take a victory lap and say, ha, we have mildly inconvenienced Nick Fuentes by forcing him to take a boat or a car or something, because he's not allowed on a plane. What does Beijing Biden's persecutorial goons think that Nick Fuentes is going to do if he gets on a plane, other than sit there and shitpost on Twitter? He's not going to bomb a fucking plane. If he's suspected of planning some sort of criminal wrongdoing, let them bring charges against him. I have a feeling that you're going to find a lot more political persecution of dissidents. We're already seeing it from big tech, from firms that are directly partnered with members of Congress. So isn't it just one small step to start keeping people from actually getting on a plane because they have the wrong political views? At what point does that become a legal problem? And here's the thing, and we had a problem years ago with the no-fly list because people had been added to it, and they figured that, well, I'll just tell them that I'm not the same individual that's on the no-fly. In some cases, it was name similarity. I have the same name as someone who's a terrorist or wanted or whatever, so I'm not allowed on the plane. But then they found that because of the opaque, crazy way in which government bureaus work, it was almost impossible to get their names off the list. It took them years of litigation. In some cases, I mean, it seems like nobody even knows that they're put on the list until they try to get on a plane. Well, that's just insane too. It's just like the idea of preventing people from buying a firearm. Shouldn't there be like a more transparent legal process by which a person can question the government's intent? I'm trying to think of any other way other than this being political persecution, that a person like Fuentes could end up on the no-fly list. It'd be really funny. It'd be funny, he challenges in court, right? And they're like, well, it was a different Nick Fuentes. We're sorry, it was an accident. Of course, it'd take 2 or 3 years and tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, probably. This is the way the government works. So Beijing Biden gets into office. All of a sudden, influencers who, again, I can't legitimately believe are suspected of having done something felonious, are ending up on no-fly list and, getting mass purged, of course, but that's semi-private. If you don't like it, you can always build your own internet and your own banking infrastructure. Build your own state. Now, this is crazy. This should, link in the description, of course, to his tweet, and he seems more bemused than anything else. This is concerning, though, because it's persecution. And it should be illegal. Of course, the government tends to legalize its own tyranny. And unfortunately, I believe that there will be a lot of other influences. I mean, I could try to get on a plane and say, hey, I'm going to go back to Rutland for the weekend or something, and find out I'm on a no-fly list. Maybe you end up on a no-fly list. You made a YouTube video 5 years ago in which you said something that's verboten, in which you said you're on a list of bad think influencers that the list has literally been created. They were literally bragging about this several years ago, that they had a compiled list of some, I think, tens of thousands of people that were counted as influencers broadly. Is this going to extend to leftists? They're the ones that are doing most of the violent things. You know, is the Antifa brick thrower still allowed to get on the plane after spending all night filling condoms with their own laxative-influenced poop to throw at police the next day? Going across state lines to join riots, by the way, rather illegal. You never hear about these people facing any repercussions. Half the time they're not even booked. The cops don't even bother arresting him half the time anymore because they know nothing will be done. Meanwhile, Nick Fuentes, best known for wearing a fucking suit and shitposting on the internet, isn't allowed to get on a fucking plane. It's not, unless, I guess if he was really, really rich, he'd have his own plane. They're like, well, if you don't like it, you can build your own plane, build your own airport, build your own government so that you're not on the list there. Maybe he should just move to a nation that actually respects the right to free movement. And by the way, that goes hand in hand with literal attacks on free movement, free expression, and the freedom to organize in the name of COVID. We've already been seeing that for now a year. That people aren't allowed to engage in First Amendment activities because it might be a super spreader event. I guess they were worried Nick Fuentes sneezed yesterday on his live stream, so if he gets on the plane, everyone will get sick and grandma will die. I suppose that's probably going to be their excuse. Some lame shit like that. That's about all. Peace out.